Welcome to the Everyday Perspective podcast. Today we're talking positive mindset and creating change with MBE Toby Gorniak. Toby is the CEO and creative director at the multi-award winning Street Factory Dance School. He's an inspirational speaker and life coach. Welcome. How are you, mate?
Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Good. Thanks for coming on. Obviously, loads to talk about today, and I think Danny and I have both been super excited to get you in and have a good chat. One thing in particular I really want to kick off with that I'm really passionate about is this idea of social mobility.
Yeah.
Which is basically the idea that regardless of your background, whether you're, sort of grew up in council estates like Danny and I,
Yeah.
or, your ethnic background, you can sort of still achieve and have the equal opportunities that everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think your story, literally from Refugee to MBE, that story.
Just, nice ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the hashtag, by the way.
Is that yours? Is that what you use?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it's an amazing story, and I think we'd love to hear a little bit more about that. So are you happy sort of going back to the beginning, talking about, I guess, your heritage and where you grew up?
Yeah, definitely. So day one's born in Poland, the tough place. Brought up there with my family, my siblings, brothers and sisters, really big family. I'm a Roma Gypsy, so we live a different culture to a lot of different people in Poland. We had a certain way of life. Not many of us went to education. Not many of us went to school when we were younger. I did end up going to school, but I'll tell you the story is mad.
Why is it that you don't go to school? Is it like
in our culture, a lot of young men and the young children are taught the culture first. So it's really important because when you go to school, that's taken away from you.
Yeah.
That's taught that it's not right to live that way. So in our families, we share our knowledge and our culture and our wisdom to our children because we know that's really important for them later to make better decisions in life. So society is going to teach you what they want to teach you, but we believe family has to teach you first.
Nice.
So that's kind of our principle. So I was brought up in a very strong, independent family. My mother was a single mother, very, very strong woman. My culture taught me always to be proud of who I am. I won't say the whole city, but a lot of people in the city hated me because who I was, because I'm a Roma Gypsy, because I'm brown, because I shouldn't be there, I don't belong there. The term skinhead in Britain and the skinhead in Poland has got a lot bit different meanings. Mm-hmm. So skinhead in Poland is someone who's pure 100% racist, who believes that you should have been killed when Hitler was around. You all shouldn't have survived. And that's a very high number of the population that has that idea.
Wow, yeah.
So as a child, being 5 years old, that's the first time I realized I was different. So till 5, I didn't know I was different. I remember going to the market with my mum, buying some fruit and veg at the market store. And this one guy straight away, as soon as we turned up, he went, you, go away, you dirty gypsies. And I was like, yo, that was very harsh, very aggressive. And I was like, well, then I realized there was something different about us because there were people behind us, there were people in front of us, and we just got pointed out. So I knew there was something different at the age of 5. So then when we went home, I asked my mum, I said, what was that all about? I said, Mum, what happened? And she explained to me racism. And that was the first time I acknowledged and I understood that I'm different. And from this day on, this is going to happen for the rest of your life. Mm. It's kind of hard to be a little child and to be aware of so much.
Yeah, how did that make you feel as a little child?
Oh, scared.
Yeah.
The main thing scared, but the main thing upset that someone speak to my mother like that. Mm. Because again, in our culture, we protect our women. And for me, I was 5 years old, but I felt like I was a man. Do you know what I mean? In my culture, you're a man, do you know what I mean? So I was annoyed because I wanted to do something, but no, when I was really little, I couldn't. So it made me feel kind of really frustrated. So when I went home, I just chat to my mum to understand what this was all about. And this was my first day realizing what racism is, what it feels like, what it looks like. And from there, it just grew. Because the older you get, the more you have that freedom of going to the park on your own, going to the playground, and you just receive more and more and more. And then when you get a bit older, your mum might say, go to the shop. And on your way to the shop, you receive racism. In the shop, you receive racism. On your way home, you receive racism. And this kind of whole thing where you got to learn to cope and manage those feelings and emotions and those situations because you got to get home. So don't start nothing, don't say nothing, make your way home.
Yeah, it must be tough though, huh? Biting your tongue and ignoring that.
100%. Yeah. I mean, being the person, and I mean, when I came here to England, one teacher said something to me, be the bigger person. And I think it was one of the worst things the teacher could ever said to me. Because being the bigger person is the hardest thing you can ever do in your life.
I also think sometimes you shouldn't always be the bigger person, if that makes sense. If someone's racist, or if someone's just, being a bellend, being a dick, whatever, I very much teach my son, you what you put out, you should get back, but it's not always like that.
Yes.
So these people that are racist, or have these ideologies, or have these things where they have just hate in them for no real reason.
Yes.
I think part of the problem is we enable that.
Yeah.
We enable people to act like that and say, "Oh yeah, be the bigger person, be that."
Yeah.
Well, no, it's across the board and it's for everything.
Yeah.
And we do need to, I think,
100%.
improve on that.
100%. I think for me there was a one day where I snapped. When me and my teacher had a conversation, she said, "Well, you just got to be the big person." I said, "Why? Why me? Why don't you pull him? Why doesn't he get in trouble? Why don't you do something about it? Why me?" And she couldn't give me an answer. She just couldn't give me an answer that day. And for me, it was, there comes a point in life where you have enough. So me growing up in Poland had great suffering with racism, abuse, and everything you could think of. And especially growing up, becoming a young man, you grow to be strong and brave. And there's a moment in time when you say enough is enough. I want to do something about it. So me and my brothers and cousins got together, and there was this thing a situation that happened in our city where there was this big thing that happened where a couple of people got beat up, hospitalized, one young girl got raped, and it was all done by the skinheads.
What on
in my city? Yeah,
right.
Towards our community. So then we all got together, said enough is enough. We've got to do something about it. We can't let this carry on, because we can't even walk down the streets, and our daughters and sons and brothers and sisters can't just be safe. So we got together and we said we're going to do something about it. So all the cousins and all the boys met in the woods to discuss what we're going to do. And as we got to the woods, we started a conversation. Our mothers turned up to the woods. I'll tell you what, I seen my mother and I was like, I was gone. It literally was a second. My instinct just went, whoa. I didn't even wait for my cousins. I was gone. And they see me run. And then after that, everyone followed. So we were all gone. So anyway, I turned up home. And my mum goes, "Where were you?" I said, "I was home." "What are you talking about?" "I was home." "So you went with your cousins and everybody?" I said, "Nah, I was home." And literally that evening, we were put in a taxi and left the country. And then a couple of months later, I spoke to my mum when we arrived in Britain. I've asked her why. And I was really shocked. It was sudden. Get in that cab and you were shouted and told off. And
Did you and your whole immediate family go?
Yeah. Just my mum, my brothers and my sisters, straight in a taxi, and you're going up to the airport and straight to Britain. We didn't know where we were going, what was happening. We were totally just confused. So what happened was there was this big team of the skinhead group coming down to our city. So we wanted to do something about it. So then my mother said a couple of months after that, when we had a chat, she said, "Put it this way. You would have gone there. You would have killed someone, or someone would have killed you. And one way or another, I would have lost my sons. So we can't win.
Yeah.
So the only way to win was to escape from there. So you lot then have to face this." And because my uncle lived in London, he gave my mum some money to get us over here. And as soon as we came over here, things started changing. But at the beginning, to me, there was no change. Everything was the same. To me, when I arrived in Britain, there was another white country, another bunch of white people. So to me, everyone here was the same as the people in Poland. I didn't see no difference. So then when we arrived...
Was you treated differently though?
When I came to England, it was still, because we didn't speak the language, the barrier was still there. So I still felt they came across quite aggressive, they came across quite strict. So everyone we sort of dealt with when we arrived here, which was the police officers, which was the immigration officers and everybody else who was there, they're very, very strict. So it still felt they were against me. So when we arrived, they put us into this camp. We stayed in a camp for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, we were allowed in the country. So some families were in these camps for like 6 months, a year.
What's the camps like?
Oh, like a prison camp, seriously.
Really?
Barbed wire, you've got these small rooms, bunk beds, kind of a military type unit.
What, families just live in these?
They get put there, and what they do, they make it really difficult for you. They put so much pressure on you that you leave. And every day someone comes and says, "I've got tickets for you to go back home."
No way.
Every day you're offered tickets to go back home. Because, put it this way, if life is really bad, you take anything. because anything is better than back there.
Yeah.
But if it's obviously not that bad, you take a ticket and you go back home.
Is that why you think they do it?
That's why they do it.
So
It's
really
a system. It's a
yeah.
process. The food is awful.
But I guess there is some people that
would use that. Yes.
that use that system. So it's two sides
100%.
to it, isn't
Oh,
there?
100%.
There's people like you who are actually
Yes, who
changing,
really
and
need
then
it.
There's people probably just looking to get into the country again for a better life.
Yes.
And I do understand that. But
Yes.
again, it's one of those things where immigration and that's all got a different.
Definitely. The food is just awful. Every day we just had our upset stomachs because the food was just that bad. So we stayed there for 2 weeks, and literally every day my mother argued with them. Literally every day she gave them hell. All you could hear is just my mother at the end of the corridor just shouting at them. And she was amazing. Do you know what I mean? She just kicked ass. She just went there and she just wouldn't give in because she knew we had to get in. She knew she couldn't go back home.
Yeah.
That wasn't an option. So then after 2 weeks, they said, you guys can go. So then we were put on this bus. From the bus, we moved to a train. On the train, we arrived in Plymouth. We don't know what this is, where this is. We don't know nothing.
I bet you never even heard of it, did you?
No, we didn't know this existed. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things.
Yeah. What year was this that you arrived in Plymouth?
2001.
2001. Yeah.
2001. But it was one of the coolest things because it was one of the best places I could ever be put.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? To me today, if I was in London,
Yeah.
I might have got in with the wrong people, the wrong things, because it's so accessible.
Yeah. Okay.
But within Plymouth, it's so, we could say, a bit slower here.
Yeah.
You haven't got as much of the trouble and the drugs and everything
gangs
else.
and stuff like
All of that wasn't as bad. Imagine me being 14,
Yeah.
being rebellious, everything I went through. This would have been just a perfect spot for me to go and continue that journey, that rebellious journey.
Yeah.
But I was lucky that I came to Plymouth and it was very calm and very subtle and very, very chilled space.
Yeah, it's an interesting point though, because I thought, until you've just said that, which makes perfect sense. I think because even now, but I think certainly going back sort of 20 years, Plymouth isn't very multicultural.
No.
Compared to bigger cities like London and
100%,
Birmingham.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like coming over, suffering the racism that you had, the Plymouth would have been one of the worst places. But now you explain it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, definitely. So then when we came over here, we were put in the house and then we couldn't speak English, nothing, so we didn't understand nothing. One guy took us around the corner to get some cereal, bread, and just the basics so we could just eat for that evening when we arrived. And then there were other difficulties when we came here, which was the vouchers. So they never used to give you money, they used to give you food vouchers. Right. And that was very embarrassing. And again, we were poor, but we're very proud of who we are. And going to a shop, I remember the situation. So there were a couple of people behind me, and I was going up to the line. I was buying bread and milk and everything for our family, and that was in Summerfields, the shop that used to be. Summerfields. Yeah, it used to be a shop called Summerfields. Yeah, I think Summerfields, something like that. Yeah,
I recognise it, but I can't quite place.
Yeah, I think it's a chain.
It's a chain. Yeah, it was in Mutley Plain. So I walked in there to get some food and stuff, and then I'm showing the lady this ticket, and it says £20 on it. And then she said, you can't spend it because we can't give you cash change. And I haven't got any vouchers to exchange, so you can't buy it. But I was like, and I couldn't speak English very well, so I couldn't actually explain to her, but that's the food, so what am I going to do? How are we going to do this? And she was really abrupt, and she was very rude, and she embarrassed me right in front of the whole shop. And she put the microphone thing on and said, whoever the manager was, I think it was something like Denise. Hi, Denise, can you come to the front desk? I've got a refugee here with a voucher and I don't know what to do with it. They just keep on coming in. I just don't know what you expect me to do.
You put that over the loudspeaker?
Right, with the loudspeaker so everyone could hear.
No way.
And I'm stood there. I'm only 14, so I died in my shoes. And only at that age, you want to be the coolest kid. You just want to walk in, And kind of when we did it, we kind of hid slightly. So we'd be like passing it gently there so nobody kind of could see because it is embarrassing. So we were just passing that over. So there were a few moments and situations like this in my life when I came to Plymouth. Yes, there was still racism in Plymouth. 100% it wasn't as bad as back home. But it still existed.
Did you find it was more racism or just ignorance? That people just weren't used to seeing different ethnic sort of groups in the city? Or do you think it was racism or a bit of both?
I think definitely a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think definitely that there's a huge of kind of ignorance.
Yeah.
But the racism was still there.
I think a lot of it as well comes from like older generations, I always find. And that's like, I think genuinely as generations going on,
Yeah.
Everyone's a lot more accepting. Like my boy is so accepting of everyone, everything.
Definitely.
He's taught at school, whereas if you speak to like an 80-year-old, they're a lot less accepting.
Yeah.
You know, and I think those cultural differences is maybe down to they just never even
had the experience. They never had the opportunity. I mean, the same thing with me is like, so my teacher at Lipson, which was an amazing lady, she was an incredible person who taught me a really vital lesson. So I had, we would say, chip on my shoulder about white people. And I disliked white people because what happened to me. So one day she said, Toby, going in the classroom, you're going to be copying this book into the computer so I can learn my spellings and how to use a computer. So I'm sat there typing out spellings and reading and writing. It's not my thing, not interested. I feel it was a waste of time for me. So anyway, I hated that anyway. So then I'm sat there typing. I just got so angry, so frustrated, just pushed the keyboard back. And I said, I hate white people. You're always making me do stuff. And she looked at me, she said, how dare you? I said, what did you just say? And then I was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. I said something I shouldn't have. And I love that lady for that because she called me out. And she went, how dare you say that, Toby? She said, actually, you know what? How many white people do you know? I went, I don't know. She said, no, just on your hand, just please tell me how many white people do you know? And I had to really think, and I thought, I know you, because we talk every day, because we work together with us. I know you, I know your husband, and I know your son. So who else do you know? I said, nobody. Because you were the first people I mixed with. She said, do you hate me then? I said, no. She said, why? I said, because you're very kind. She said, do you hate my husband? I said, no. She said, why? Because he's kind. She said, do you hate my son? I said, no. Why? Because he's kind. So the 3 white people you know are kind, and yet you hate everybody. And it taught me a lesson that because in Poland, everyone done that to me, put everyone together in one group, I did the same.
Yeah, it happens all the time, doesn't it?
So it was my knowledge, my experience kind of caused the same effect. So I disliked it, yet I did it. So it taught me a lesson not to judge people in a group. I can judge individuals. And then the individuals I've met were not nice. They were just unkind people. But it wasn't everybody. It's not the whole race. It's not the whole religion. It's not the whole culture. There were just a couple of people that I've met that were really mean.
Yeah.
And that taught me a really big lesson. So she was an incredible teacher to call me out. I learned that lesson that day. But yeah, when it comes to racism, that's something that it's scary at moments, and especially when me and my wife, we've got 6 kids. Jo was pregnant, and we went to the Theatre Royal to watch this cool show. And after the show, we're going out to catch a taxi. So a black cab drives by, so I put my hand out. He slows down, and he goes, "I ain't having an effing packy in my taxi." And he drives off.
No way.
Yeah. And it was tipping down and everything. So I'm really frustrated now because I've got my pregnant wife with me. I just want to get her home.
It sounds crazy, but I could never, again, because obviously I could never imagine that happening to me and my family. And like, people can talk about racism, but actually experiencing that must be just a really, like, I look kind of foreign at times. People sometimes think I look kind of foreign because I've got like dark features, dark hair, and into someone out of a tan. Obviously I still probably look white enough to not have that sort of issue, but I could never imagine that happening. Yeah. Like flagging a taxi down and someone not letting me in their taxi because of the colour of my skin. That just blows my mind, especially in this day and age.
I know,
especially
it's crazy.
In this day and age.
I know.
So how did you get into hip hop and dancing?
So hip hop and dancing was something that was in my family and in my culture. So as a Roma Gypsy in our families, every party you dance. It's a standard. So you dance with your aunties, your mom, sister. It's a party. You just dance. It's a social thing.
Is there any specific like kind of dancing?
Yes. So we've got Roma dance. So you dance together. Right. So there isn't like salsa or bachata. There was like a certain gypsy style that we use. Right. Don't know if it has a name, but there is a style. Do you know what I mean? There is a style. And it's all about family. It's all about togetherness. It's all about sharing. So dancing to me was something I was brought up with all my life. So to me, dancing was standard. Then my brother and my sister used to listen to a lot of hip hop, a lot of rap music. So I was just brought up with it, and I was just every day listening to what they were listening to and everything. And I remember Tupac made a really big impact within our city. And I know some other cities had Biggie, but Tupac, something that stuck really big within my entire city. So everyone was really into Tupac. So when I was growing up, Tupac was like, yeah, that's really, really cool music. And then one day we were watching MTV, And MTV had a breaking crew called Flying Steps. And Flying Steps have become my like dream team. I wanted to work with, I want to be like that, I want to do what they do. But we didn't have YouTube, so we couldn't pause, replay, start again. You literally had sit there for an hour in front of the telly, hope the song comes on. When it comes on, you probably have seconds on each move that they're going to do to try and remember something so you can go outside and practice. So I would literally just sit at that screen and be like, oh, you just done this. And then you just run outside and try it, and you hurt yourself and you do crazy stuff and you throw yourself around to do what they did. And that was my beginnings of my breaking. So I would then train in the local park, in the local street. One of my friends had this big concrete slab outside his house. We put a couple boxes on it, tape them down. We had a little stereo, car battery. We run it from that. And that's how we started. And I would literally dance every single day. There wouldn't be a day I didn't do it. It became my favorite sport. It became my favorite thing to do just every day. Didn't even think about it. It's just what I did. Like when you got to brush your teeth every morning, I would just dance every day. That was my type of thing. But then when we came to Britain, that's when it changed. That's when I took it a bit more serious. Because I've met a couple of guys who were doing breaking and we were allowed to train in the dance studio. That was huge, to have a space to be able to train and you can do better moves and learn things and stuff like that. That's when my kind of understanding and knowledge and everything started growing. And then I started researching and understanding there's a hip hop culture. So you've got a hip hop dance and a DJing, graffiti and all that cool stuff. But there is a culture element to it. And that's something that really inspired me because the culture was very close to my culture. Because if I'm from Germany and don't speak English, but as soon as I say I'm hip hop, we're brothers. Mm-hmm. So we become brothers. Mm-hmm. And that's something I loved about the hip hop culture that kind of brought us together. That whole unity thing came instantly. So right now, me and my dancers, when we travel anywhere and we meet other hip hop people, we're just like family. Mm-hmm. So like your cousins coming down is that type of thing. And that's something I fall in love with in the hip hop culture.
Yeah, that's wicked. It's very similar with martial arts. Yeah. You're relatively new to it still, but you'll find out when you travel, different cities, different countries, doesn't matter your language or anything. You go in and that's a language in itself.
Yes.
Yeah,
movement.
because you did the same thing, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. So there was a little bit of a scene in Plymouth when you arrived?
No, there were a couple of boys just doing it. So there was a couple of boys in Lipson doing it. So then you had Chris, you had Sammy, you had Borim, Salim. So they were doing some stuff. So yeah, popping and breaking, that was the two things they did. Mm-hmm. So the other boys, Chris was from Plymouth. Then you had Sammy, Borim, Salim, and they did breaking and popping. And they were from Kosovo, but they spoke German. And because I spoke German, I could communicate with them. Because I didn't speak English by then.
How many languages do you talk?
So I speak 5. 5, yeah. I would love to learn another 3, which is Italian, French, and Spanish. Wow. That's the 3 I would like to learn because they're very common languages
so
around
what
the world.
5 do you know?
So Polish, English, German, Roma, and Czech.
What's Roma?
Roma is our Gypsy language.
Is that a language?
Yeah, we've got our own language. Yeah, it is.
Cool.
Yeah, it's our own language. But the language is only passed on from parents to children, and it goes that way. So it's not written, it's not in books, it's only passed on verbal.
Is it similar to any other language?
We have a lot of similarities to Indian, Punjab language. Yeah. So a lot of terms are very close to Punjabi and Sri Lankan language. So there's a lot of similarities in a lot of the language. So through history, when they looked back where the Romani people come from, the farthest back they could go at the minute on paper they have is India. So at the minute they presume our heritage originates from India 500 years ago. Yet now there's more people discovering more things, so there's more stuff coming up. There's always more, do you know what I mean? But this is just as far as they got back before. So now they're discovering a lot more things. Yeah. So it's really cool, really interesting. I love languages, but all sorts of languages. So I did Makaton training, I did body language training, I did all sorts of things because it allowed me to do my job better. It allowed me to communicate better with people. And in dance, it's a language where you do not need to speak.
Yeah, is it language, I think, and communication in general? I think the actual words, verbalizing is such a small component of it. Body language is massive, tone, and then the words are really kind of a small component.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, that's cool. So you went from kind of back home, sort of dancing in the streets, to
Yes.
Plymouth in a bit of a studio.
Yes.
To eventually owning a studio. So
Yes.
tell us how that happened.
So I was teaching in every single school in Plymouth, traveling from school to school, living a fantastic life. Me and my wife had a really good lifestyle. We were just working all the time, did the start work together. So we met at TR2, Theatre Royal. So I was the dancing teacher, she was the acting teacher. And then one day we just spoke together. And the first day we've met, she stood up for me. So what happened was I entered the space and I turned up 5 minutes late to the meeting. And as soon as I turned up, everyone stared at me, but it wasn't a very nice stare. So my wife recognized that there was something odd. And then so she gave everyone a certain look to say, that's not appropriate. She got up, gave me her seat. And in my culture, that was very weird. A woman giving you a seat, because I'm very old fashioned, very old school. I'll give you a seat. And she went, well, you can come sit in my seat. And she was quite bossy, so I was like, okay, I'll take a seat. Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay. I won't say no, I won't take a seat. So I took a seat. After that, we had a couple of discussions and stuff. And I remember she told me a story where when we arrived for the real sessions, she asked somebody, who is that? Oh, that's just Toby and his crew. So I wasn't very welcome there in that space.
Again, do you think that's because you were different, doing a different type of dancing, different ethnicities, anything?
It was everything. It was everything. Because if you imagine, everyone in there was white middle class.
Yeah.
And I was totally odd. I was odd as hell in there, do you know what I mean? I was totally different. And for my wife, it's the first time she had to kind of see it and experience it. And one thing I love about my wife was that she was just a kind human being. She saw something, so she did something, which for me, she still does to today. And I love that. She has this really strong moral and the principle of, if you see something, do something. If you feel something, do something. If you feel an emotion, there has to be an action. Like you see somebody homeless, you go, oh my God, that guy's homeless. Yet you go home and have a cup of tea. My wife had this principle of, no, if I felt something, I'm going to do something. Otherwise, don't waste your time on those feelings. And she taught me that. We taught that to all our children, and we live by that. So when we met together, I've got 6 kids. So Jo was pregnant right now with the twins. Life is crazy. I drove past the old YMCA at top of town. And I seen it, I was like, wow, that's a cool building. So then I rang up, I said, can I come and have a look at it? Don't know why I did it, just did. I'm always very cheeky and always take opportunities and I always go with the flow. I seen the sign for rent and I was like, Because I was teaching in so many places, I thought, wouldn't it be easier if everyone just come to me? So then I walked into the building, this agent shows me around the building and I'm just falling in love with it. I'm just walking around going, wow. Just blown away by the building because I had a dance studio upstairs, had a huge space downstairs because it used to be the YMCA gym. So the building was just all set for me. All it just needed some graffiti to make it look really cool and dope. So when I walked in, I just fell in love with it. And then the guy says, yeah, well, we have to pay this much and that. And I was like, oh my God, we'll be able to afford this. So anyway, as we're walking out, the owner of the building turns up. And as he turns up, I'm saying bye to the agent. And he goes, oh, did you just have a look at the building? I said, yeah, I love the building. It's amazing. He said, oh, come with me. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. See what's up. So we're walking around the building. He showed me again. He said, so what do you want to do here? I said, I want to run the school, train kids, give kids an opportunity, probably create some of the best dancers. Just do something really cool. He was like, you know what? I like you. Gets his keys out, gives me the whole keys.
You're joking.
Just there and then.
What an amazing guy.
There and then. Just tell you what, weird as
like rent or
no, dude. Nothing. Just there and then he went, there's the keys.
What?
And I'm like, so far as I'm a bit like shocked, like he goes, do you need to do the place up? I said, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a bit of work here. He goes, okay, this is what you can pay me. I said, could we have some time to do the place up? He said, okay, I'll give you 6 months. 6 months free rent. So give me 6 months to do the place up. And I mean, literally, I worked in that place. So 6 weeks holidays, that's where I spent my time. Mm-hmm. Because downstairs they had carpet and we needed vinyl flooring to be laid on there. So we had to take the carpet up because it was that really rough, cheap carpet. So we had to rip it off. And to rip it off, it was glued. It has that much glue. So we had to borrow this machine that's got like a big sort of sharp edge and like and chops it right through. So we had to imagine, and the space was 30 meters long. by 4.5 meters wide.
I understand your pain. I've done a few retail
My
places, mate.
my hands were sore. But so one of my first kids I ever trained, Josh Rumbold, he was there with me, and him just worked every day there. Me and him created this beautiful building. We had mirrors, graffiti boards, everything. The whole place just looked super dope. So we launched our first studio, and that was just incredible.
So you mentioned Josh.
Yeah.
So was he one of the kids that you picked up from the schools that you were teaching at?
So Josh was the local kid in the local area. So what happened was I used to dance under the subways in the park when it's not raining. In England, it rains a lot. So to have a space, it's amazing. So there was a youth club. I would just go to the local youth club and just start jamming and practicing because there was space. And one of the youth workers walked up and said, Toby, would you exchange you teaching the kids for space? I was like, yes, please. So then the manager of the place said, Toby, I really like what you're doing. Can we do it a bit longer? I said, yeah, brilliant. I'd love to. As long as I get space to train, I'm happy days. So we exchanged. And then 2 weeks later, she gives me the keys to the building. So we started doing stuff at the youth club, teaching. That was with Josh. And we would train literally every day. After school, every day we had Saturdays, Sundays, we would be just down there jamming and training. So then Josh danced with me, trained with me. Then when we opened the building, Josh was with me. Then we... even when I got married, Josh turned up. He was one of my first kids, so he turned up to my wedding. Then from there, from the studio and stuff, we put Josh and a couple other dancers through a youth work qualification because we knew they needed some qualifications in the world we worked in, especially with the kids we wanted to work with. So he got put through MVQ level 3 youth work qualification. But when he did school, he didn't leave school with no GCSEs, no nothing. He was dyslexic. The school didn't pick it up. He struggled in school. He was your local troublemaker because he just couldn't cope, couldn't understand. So he took his frustration out on the classroom and wouldn't attend and stuff like that. So then I had a really good relationship with the head teacher at the school. And I rolled up to the school and I said to the head teacher, listen, he doesn't turn up. He's on your enrollment, but he always gets in trouble. What if he comes with me, does my police projects with me? Because I was working in Lewin Liscard at that time, doing a lot of work for the police. I said, what if he comes with me in those 2 days and I'll train him and I'll teach him everything I know, and hopefully 1 or 2 days he'll turn up to school. He was like, that's perfect. If you can get him to do that, that would be phenomenal. So then he traveled with me and did loads of workshops, and that got him thinking back about going back into education. And then he started behaving and being good, and he had a purpose. And then from then, he traveled, worked with me all over the place. Then we opened the studio. Then he did the qualification with us. From the qualification, moved on and went to the Arts College. So the Arts College at that point in time gave me a honorary fellowship degree. And then from that degree means I had access and support from the college. They would support anything I like to do. So I went to the college and I said, Josh needs to carry on doing what he's doing. He loves film and photography. They said, yeah, but he hasn't got the maths and English and all the basics he needs. I said, but I'm sure you could do something. He went, all right, Toby, we'll do it for you. So they put extra tuition for Josh to pass the basics to get into college. And then he got into college. He finished with a distinction. They wrote a book about him and his dedication to work and how he was the hardest working kid in the place because he learned the principles, the ethics and the methods of how we work. And he took that and put that into practice. And that's when they discovered that he was dyslexic. They gave him extra support. They gave him extra help.
How old was he at that point?
So at that point, the kid was probably 17. Yeah, 16, 17. Josh was there.
It took till he was 16, 17.
16, 17 to realise that he needed that extra support and help. Then from then, he went to London, done 3 years in film and photography. And now he lives in New Zealand, got a partner, got a baby, got an amazing house. He's a filmmaker, photographer, a dance teacher, does competitions and showcases and stuff like that. Everything he learned with me, he does in New Zealand. And he lives an incredible life. And to me, that's my biggest success. When these kids get to live their lives and not get in trouble and just be happy and doing what they're doing, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, no, that's sick, man. I think it's you can say it for so many guys, I think, in particular, but without purpose and inspiration, they do just get lost and rebel. And I think providing that for somebody, and then a bit of guidance along the way.
100%. I think that's all we need. Every human being just needs a purpose, a meaning to why you get up every day. Do you know what I mean? To do something. And there's a thing that's really important to us, I think, as human beings, to give back. We do have this thing of giving back because that's our next generation. It's the whole passing on the baton so somebody else can carry it for us for the next generation. And I think for us it becomes a daily thing. And the more we teach people that, one of the things we live by in Street Factory of this culture of teach to teach is the ripple effect. So everything I give you, the love, the respect, the kindness, I need you to give that to somebody tomorrow.
So with regards to obviously all that sort of stuff, financially going through that, have you gone through some like really hard times yourself, that sort of thing? Because obviously you've give back so much, but it doesn't scream to me that that would have been easy financially. And again, that's a massive barrier for a lot of people. It would be a massive barrier for me, probably yourself. Like I would definitely like to give back more, and I would like to do those sorts of things. But I've got a family, I've got a mortgage, I've got all those types of things, and really that comes first. So you know, from outside looking in, it clearly sees that you've maybe put those financial stuff early on the back burner to be able to get to where you are now.
Yeah, 100%. At the beginning, it was really hard. For the first 14 years, me and my wife literally funded the entire thing.
At the beginning, 14 years.
14 years. It's 18 years in now. But the first 14 years.
It took you 14 years to get to a point.
14 years where we are now, where we can actually make money. But now what happened was Street Factory became my charity that I give back in my organization where we invest. So still till just recently, I would be at the building working for free. I don't get paid for working on Street Factory. And everyone that works with me, except the young teachers and stuff I'm training next, they would get paid. I wouldn't. So if I booked workshops and stuff like that, anyone that turned up to the workshop, I'll make sure they got paid. I didn't get paid because to me it was the way of giving back. And we couldn't afford to pay me to be there. So I would do my work for free. So I would turn up, I'll clean the place, set the place up, run the workshop, tidy it up again, ready for tomorrow. Now, through my other work, so this was my Street Factory where everything I did in the building. I did a lot of work as Toby G, where I would do classes in schools and colleges and workshops and deliver equality, diversity, inclusion training. And I would just travel all over the country doing this stuff. And all the money I'll make, 50% of my money always went back to Street Factory. So we invested everything we had back into Street Factory. So long as we didn't have much, but we got by. And we paid our bills and we had a little bit. But this year kind of became one thing, became a family. So I couldn't let Josh down. I couldn't let Max down. I couldn't let all the kids down. So there were many times where we sat down, me and my wife, and went, we can't.
You think
we're in debt.
There would be somewhere where you could get like some really good like funding or sponsorship? Because what you're doing is effectively getting kids off the street. I always think, even with my son, like there's not enough for him to do. Like I take him to sports clubs, football and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But again, if you couldn't afford to do that, you know, for him to go football every month is £30 a month without travel there and back. Some games are in Launceston, some games, you know, 20, 30, 40 minutes away. Even at his age. I always think, you know, what if I physically couldn't afford that? And then what is there for him to do other than sit at home and even play his Xbox? But even if they couldn't afford an Xbox, you know, there's all those things.
Then it's the internet. Then it's the key for the Xbox to be able to go and play against other people. It's all these things. So when we started Street Factory, the only reason we did it was because in my local community, we started in a local church. I wanted to give back, I wanted to do something. I thought, why not do something? And there was a bit of trouble in the area, so I thought, let's do something. So we did. So we opened the church. We rented a church hall. We had to pay for it. There was no support or anything from nobody. So me and my wife decided to set it up in our local area. And then first day, we had 3 kids. Second day, 10. Second or third week, then we have 20. Fourth week, there was 100.
100 children.
100 children. Suddenly the noise got around.
And that's all for free, though?
All for free. So me and my wife funded everything. So we paid for the space. We even then started providing little bits of food for children that we knew needed it. We would provide drinks, clothes. We had kids who turned up and didn't have trainers, so I had holes in trainers.
So, mate, that's quite truly, I think we speak for both of us, that's amazing.
Do you know what I mean? So we did a lot of amazing things. And one of the things is I know what it feels like. I was poor. I didn't have nothing. People gave me stuff. So I know the feeling. And I know the importance of never embarrassing a human being. That's something really important to me because I got embarrassed a lot. When people gave you something and they let you know they gave you something and then they call it out a few times when they meet you, oh, you're still wearing the shoes, so they're still really good, aren't they? And you think like, yo, really, in front of my friends? In front of the other people, they didn't need to know. But I know these people maybe didn't know, and they just wanted to have a conversation.
They want to feel good about themselves, mate.
That could have been. But for me I've learned from those lessons, and I never wanted to do that to another human being. So for me, the important was, when I give something, I'll make sure you don't even know. So when we would do stuff, so probably maybe see it now, when we did stuff, we would do raffles. And I wanted to make sure which kid gets what ticket, to make sure that he's size 5, and I'll make sure he gets these new Nikes I just bought. So we'll go to the show, buy trainers, and we do like a raffle night. Or I knew, like, you know, you didn't have the right clothes, your clothes are always falling down, or they got rips or whatever. I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go buy a tracksuit. And then I'll say, yo, I need your help today. Didn't need your help, I'll be like, I need your help, I need you to stand reception, sign people in. You stand at reception for 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, thank you. You can go to class now. They go to class, do the class. When they walk down, you know what? I just want to say thank you for helping me out today. You know what? I've got a little gift for you, and give them something. So I always wanted to make sure people felt they've earned it. They did something. And it wasn't just given in a way of like, I know that you're poor and I'm going to tell you that you're poor. It was kind of like, it's a gift. And it's kind of like out of luck. You were there in the right place, right time. You did the right thing. And you got given something. And for me, it was that beautiful moment. You can create that magic. And I was very lucky. I had my wife, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, her family, who really supported me. So whenever I had somebody in need, I could always lean on and say, guys, could you chip in for me? I've got this kid. And people always lent in, and family really helped me. So I was really lucky and blessed that I had those people around me to support me in these magical moments. To be able to create that magic for that kid, I know what that did.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. Even just hearing some of those examples just breaks my heart a little bit.
I know, I was just thinking that. I was just thinking about...
And the impact you would have had on those kids' lives is you know, immeasurable.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's beautiful because right now you've got these kids and the adults. And sometimes they bring the kids down to Street Factory, like, look at me, Toby, I'm married, I've got a kid. And you think, wow. You think just, wow. And then many times I go into town, so I know, shopping. Last week, went to Sainsbury's. And there's one kid that's just staring at me. He's working in Sainsbury's, but just keeps on staring at me. I think I'll probably taught him or something, because he just keeps on going like, you know, when you're like, is it that guy? Is it that guy? And just keeps on looking at me. And I'm like, I'll probably taught him or something. So then on purpose, I walked past him because I knew he was really, and I knew he didn't want to walk up. He felt awkward. So I walked up and I went, just, yo, what's up? He goes, yeah, you Toby, and I said, yeah, man. He said, you taught me at school. He said, I never forgot the lesson that you taught me. And then he said, I learned to be respectful to all people. He said, I did struggle with that because of my family, but he said, you taught me that lesson to be respectful to all people. He said, that's something that really helped me out. That's how I got this job. I said, dude, you know what? Thank you. And those beautiful little moments are just magic for me.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. Really cool. I feel like you've kind of answered this question already just by telling us some of the anecdotes and stories, but your MBE, so how did that come about?
Oh, this was nuts. It was hilarious when it happened because, so Sundays in the house, we're blankets, cushions, snacks, TV. We always watch films and stuff as a family together Sundays. So I said to the kids, get all your pillows and quilts and everything, get them downstairs, and we create like a den. It's like a huge cushion den. So we all just jump in, huddle in and watch TV. My wife, she'd go downstairs, makes a cup of tea. She opens the letters on a Saturday morning. No, that was Sunday. Sorry, that was a Sunday morning. And so she's gone downstairs, opened the letter, and she started screaming. So I'm really excited right now. I'm thinking, yes, because I played the postcode lottery. So I presume for my wife to be that excited,
30 grand.
It's something big. I'm thinking it's 30 grand, 90 grand, 200 grand, and I play free tickets. So I'm like, yo,
that's big,
do you know what I mean? So I'm winning here right now. So I'm so excited. She comes upstairs, babe, you need to sit down. I'm thinking, okay, that's a lot of money.
It's 90 grand.
I need to sit down. So I'm sitting down, do you know what I mean? Really excited, thinking I'm getting paid. She reads this letter and it starts from Her Royal Majesty, the Queen. I'm like, what does the Queen got? Maybe she gives them money. As long as she gives me some, I'm happy, do you know what I mean? I thought she maybe give him some money towards it or whatever. Yeah. So then I'm presuming, as long as she gives me some money, I'm happy. I'm good. So I'm sat there, she's reading this letter, and there were so many words I didn't understand. Just totally flew past my head, didn't understand what they meant. And she finished reading the letter, and I was like, so we didn't win? She goes, win what? it's the postcode lottery thing. She said, no, babes, you're missing the point. I'm like, what is the point? We didn't win. She goes, no. And then she read the letter again, trying to explain it to me. I still didn't get it, what it meant. So now I went on YouTube, I went on Google, and then it hit me. Then it was like, boom, wow. I left the country where I was hated and despised, never would have achieved anything because people wouldn't let me. Yet now I'm in a country where people appreciate and say thank you for the work that I did. Blew my mind. My mind was like, poof. And the royal family. Do you know what I mean? That is so huge. Came in with nothing, just a hope and a dream.
So what did they say? What was it for? Like specifically, was it for your work with?
That was for my work with the community, for my work with the young people, for all these years.
So how did they get wind of that then?
There was, I think, 15 people that wrote a letter.
Oh, really?
15 people that wrote a letter. I know one of the people who did write a letter, and it was the director for the Racial Equality Council, Sue. Sue was like my second mum. So when I had the opportunity to do my youth work training, I did it with the Plymouth City Council, but I needed a placement. And I thought there's no better placement for me to work with than to work with the Racial Equality Council. I always wanted to understand the Equality Act, the rights of the people. Mm-hmm. So I knew that I can help them. I knew I could challenge the police when they're doing things wrong. I knew when people said things and did things that wasn't right, I would know how to challenge them in the right manner. Because before I was young and I always kind of got angry and frustrated and I could never express the pain or the thing that was wrong. I couldn't just put it into words.
It's knowing the law, isn't it? Like you said.
And I felt if I went there, I could learn this stuff.
Yeah, legally. Yeah.
So I did. And I spent 12 months working with them, and I've learned so many incredible things from these people. So I know she wrote a letter, and I think she started the ball rolling with other people. So then you had the chief of the police, you had the head teacher from the arts college, you had the Plymouth City Council, so it was quite a few really big people in the city that took the time. And that was the biggest thing that hit me. So many people took the time to write a letter. I know how busy people are. And to ask someone to, take a day off and write a letter about me, it takes time. You got to think about what you're going to write, what you're going to say, then to write it, send it off.
I think it's even more important because other people have done that off their own back. It's not you instigating any of that sort of stuff. People are recognizing your work that you're doing within the community. And then, they're speaking to other people and creating that to then write 15 plus letters from people.
It was amazing. Incredible. So for me, it just blew my mind. So then we knew we've got this MBE and you're not allowed to tell no one.
Really?
You're not allowed to tell no one for 3 months.
3 months?
Today release.
That's tough.
Yeah, today release it on the BBC and the...
I couldn't do it.
and the list of honours for that year. So now I'm turning up to places. Street Factory is really tough at the minute. Work is a bit drying off. So I'm like chasing my tail, paying bills, doing this, doing that, working like everywhere I can. And people go, oh, don't worry, Tobes, you're going to do it, man. You're going to get through. I'm thinking, you don't bloody know I'm going to do it. Yes, I am going to do it because this MBE thing is happening in 3 months. But then you got to wait for 3 months. That was the hardest part. Then we went up to the Palace and I had this really, really cool suit. I had the Nike pair of trainers. I always wear Nikes. Used to wear Adidas, but what happened with Adidas, the quality wasn't there no more. They changed. They used to, before the whole sole of them were grid. Right. I mean, they were solid, so they were filled. The whole bottom was filled. The new Adidas, if you pull up the bottom of them, they've got a grid, a checked grid going right through it. It means they're saving the materials. And for me as a dancer, I can feel that. So if I jump or I land or I do anything, I can feel the impact.
Adidas sort your shit out.
Yes, step up because you let me down. So then I went to Nike. And Nike are a lot heavier, Air Force ones, but they're solid. So I can take that impact. It gives me enough support for my feet to do everything I need to do. So now I only wear these bad boys. Nice. And I've got 35 of them. So I love trainers.
You spend big on them now?
Yes, yeah. I do love trainers. Yeah. Trainers is like one of my things.
It's got huge, that though, isn't it?
Oh, massive.
You've seen how big that's got? Like, ridiculous.
Massive.
Ridiculous.
So I love trainers and I love my wardrobe is very colourful. So if you look at my wardrobe, it's like all just different shades and colours of everything. Very colourful. So then before walking in, my wife goes, if they don't let us in because you're trainers, I'm going to kill you. So imagine, stood right outside the palace and they go, nah, sorry, no trainers. Do you know what I mean? I'm
like trainers in a nightclub sometimes.
Do you know what I mean?
The palace, like,
Do you know what I mean?
I think she was every right to.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So she was really worried about it. And I was like, babes, we're going to be good. But the beautiful thing was, once we were allowed to announce to people that I was going, the community of Plymouth, and I loved it. I just love it. So many older people in Plymouth were like, get on, Toby, boy. You do it, but don't you bloody change. I was like, no, I won't. She said, yeah, I know you won't. And make sure you wear a bloody bandana there as well. So all the old people were just always bloody and always just telling me off, do you know what I mean? But they did it with the love, do you know what I mean, and the care. It was so incredible. And I had so much love from the people for going up. And when I went up, I had my bandana on, I had my pair of trainers on, I had a bandana in my pocket, too much my whole style and everything. It was just incredible. We walked in there and it was like a different world. It's a different world. So then was this guy, there's one of the guards who stood there like this, do you know what I mean? Didn't blink, didn't move. So I thought, I have above a laugh. So I stood next to him and went, didn't blink, nothing. I was like, yo, that guy is going to kill me in a minute. So I moved. Then we had to walk up. Prince William gave me the medal on a day. So there was a certain way you had to walk up and everything. You had to take a little bow. And what was really cool was Prince William kind of would start talking and he leant forward and he went, is that your real hair? And he started pointing at my hair, like, because my hair was just there. And he went, oh, is that your real hair? And he's about to touch it. And I knew he clocked himself going, oh, I can't touch it. Do you know what I mean? Not allowed no contact. And like they told me, only if they reach out, only then you're allowed to shake the hand. Otherwise, don't. So they're very strict rules about how you should behave there. So anyway, and the coolest thing was just a bit funny because he went, oh, is that your real hair and everything? And I thought, yeah, cool. And I looked up at his and he didn't have much. I was like, oh, okay, that's why he asked. Do you know what I mean? Which was really cool. Bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? A bit of fun. But the coolest thing I'll say, I got so much respect for that man because I presumed it was a high and a bye. You only got a little time by the time you walk in on other people. And I went, yo, listen, while I got you here, and I'm always very cheeky. I said, yo, listen, while I got you here, I'm opening Street Factory, I'm doing this, working with the kids. You went, Toby, I know everything that you're doing. I know you're based in Plymouth. I know this is your address. I know how many people you work with, and I know he just knew everything. I was like, so you're coming down, yeah? He's like, okay, send us an invite. We'll definitely look at it. I was like, yo, thank you very much, big respect. Gave me the medal, and I made my way home. So then what happened was all the kids I taught before, who now live in London, say, Toby, let's catch up. And I am a bit of a party animal. I love to party, love to have a good time. So I said to them, yeah, after, let's meet me. And I was quite very excited at the beginning in the morning, really excited, really hype. So I said, yeah, meet me. We'll go out, get some food, have a little drink, have a little party. I turned up to the place and this was me.
Why?
I just couldn't believe it. It blew my mind. If you can understand the horror and the struggle and the pain and the suffering and everything I went through in my life. And now I get awarded by a royal family. And then I get to sit in this pub that we met together and just reflect on the entire struggle and the journey. And it's unbelievable. It doesn't happen to people like me.
You've done amazing things within the community and helped and give back to so many people. It's probably not enough, in my opinion. You might get a little, a little bit of recognition, and you, which is absolutely amazing. But at the same time, like compared to probably the lives that you've helped, you think, oh yeah, I've come from nothing to come here, which is true. Yeah. But the amount of people you've helped on that way, you probably can't take it in, and people probably don't know the impact that you've had on X amount of lives. It's all right, people maybe from higher up giving out titles, but until at times they help you and put their money where their mouth is and fund people like you, I think that would be the massive change for everything.
Yeah, definitely. But for me on that day, dude, I was just
I can imagine.
Had to sit there and be like, I'm not in dream, I'm not in a coma, man, this is real. I'm here physically, I am here. And it was really cool because I had the chance to catch up with some of the kids I used to teach, and now they're all men and women.
But they all come back for that.
They all come back from London, man. They all were there. Do you know what I mean? Everyone took a day off. There were 16 of them. We sat down. And the first hour, I was just still dazed. So we had something to eat and everything, but I'm still like, what's going on? And then something really funny happened because we got one guy, Jordan, who came to Plymouth, to university from Manchester. and he came to study psychology and other bits and pieces. Met me at the new building when we opened it. Never went to university. Just didn't go to university. Just quit his university the day he met me. He said, I want to work with you. He said, this is the stuff I want to do, because we're working with young people, changing lives. So he stayed with me for Street Factory, I think, good 5 to 7 years. He stayed with me. And now he's working in London doing what I do. And he's one of the most used public figures in the community when it comes into changing lives for young people. So me and Jordan sat there chatting, chilling. And I looked at Jordan and I just said, you know what I want to say, man? I love you and thank you for being here with me today. He went, don't ever say it to my face again. And it was that funny moment because he's really serious. Yeah. But Jordan was he looked like Ice Cube. If you know Ice Cube and Jordan, literally face to face, very similar. And he had this angry look all the time on his face. So if you met him, you think, what's the matter with him? But that's him being happy. Yeah. He just had a face like that. Do you know what I mean? He's just a very tough, stern face.
He's going to listen to us and be like, oh, cheers.
Do you know what I mean?
Cheers, Toby.
Yeah. But he is one of the most kindest people you meet. He was so lovely and so kind. So he worked with me and we had a blast. So then at the event, we had a good jokes and stuff, a good catch up. And again, it's beautiful to see everyone else doing so well and living their purpose. Because he knew his purpose and he knew he wanted to go into psychology and other things, but it was all about helping. It's all about giving people the opportunity. And he's doing it now. So for me, it's just super dope.
Yeah, man. What a story. It's amazing. I've got a question because we talked a lot about purpose and inspiration. Yes. And, you know, how does an adult find inspiration and find purpose?
Well, so this week I was teaching at a girls' school and one girl asked me a question. It's a very, very tough question. She said, how do I overcome bullying? I was like, wow. I said, I don't understand your situation. I don't understand your circumstances. I don't understand who the bully is, what situation that's coming in, physical, verbal, social media. I said to her, I don't know. But the one thing I can tell you is this. When you join something, you meet new people. You open your mindset. You allow new people to come into your life. Go and join something. So to a lot of people who struggle, who went through a difficult time as a child and growing up and never had this inspiration, the biggest thing I say to people is, you were never given an opportunity to meet somebody. Now it's your choice and your opportunity. So go and meet somebody. Go join a club. It's for the dancing club, singing club, theatre club, jiu-jitsu, boxing, sports, running. Go and join a club. Because when you do that, you meet so many incredible people. Just a coach. You just meet a coach and the coach goes, hi, get in. And you think, I don't even know you. You just said, just get in. So I just did. And when I left, I felt amazing. That's what coaches do. That's what these people who run these clubs do. They're the inspiration. They're there to support you and encourage you and get you to that next step. So I said to this young girl, go join a club. And when you do join a club, send me a message on social media. I don't answer my social media. I've got a couple of people that do it for me. But they will send a message to me and you will get a reply. But do me a favor, join a club and you will see the difference. Because I know when you join a club, your confidence grows. And everything is to do with confidence. When you have the confidence to look at a bully and say, are you talking to me? Are you starting on me again? You have that confidence which says, go away. Which says, leave me alone. And not only that, then you build friendships. You have a team behind you. You have other things. But lots of times what happens to the people, they're on their own.
I find it's exactly that. It's just differences that people pick on, isn't it? And then with regards to being an adult and not having that direction and that feeling of lost, I think if you do join a club, and me playing football for years and then getting a few injuries and not being able to play football, I felt a little bit lost for a few years. I tried a few different things and then eventually, obviously now I do jiu-jitsu and I love that. I think there's nothing else quite like it, especially as an adult. I think you probably agree that is somewhere where you can go and everyone's really friendly, but also you're kind of kicking each other's head in and it's a real good stress reliever and you have nothing else to worry about at that point.
Yeah, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. We had a GP on and we were talking about sort of men not talking and being isolated, and it's something we talked about then, wasn't it? that community that you get as a result, and the camaraderie and the trust that you
Yes.
build is amazing. And I've seen it because I've done it for years. I've seen people coming in, men and women, who have come in and they've had no confidence, and you've just seen the transformation. You've seen them grow both physically and mentally, and they become completely different people.
I think it's physically as well. I think when you,
Yes.
especially with like maybe doing a combat sport or any sort of sport, but you physically change, and you know, you feel better about yourself. You feel more confident. You can speak to people.
It's everything. You walk different. You look different. You might have a smile on your face. Do you know what I mean? That's the big difference. Do you know what I mean? It's this whole thing that happens when you allow yourself to mix with others.
I always find as well, adults in general, I think they get to a certain point and some people kind of just give up with stuff like that. And I always think to them, like, they go, oh, you know, I'm 30s now. What's that? What the
You're
fuck
a baby.
is 30?
You're a
nothing.
baby.
Yeah.
Like, what? I still feel like a kid.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel no different to when I was 20.
So
Do you know
yesterday,
what I mean? Like, still acting like a kid. I'm still a knob. I
That's
still
it.
wind everyone up. Do you know what I mean? In general, I am. But when I speak to some people, you speak to them and they go, yeah, no, I'm 35 now.
oh, I can't believe when people say that. So for me, the crazy thing was, so yesterday this little girl asked me, so Toby, how old are you? And the first thing was about to come up when I was 16. Because I am still at the age of 16. I'm still doing backflips, windmills. I'm 36. And I know I'm going to be in my 80s. And I'm still going to be busting out, still doing it, still having a good time. Because to me, it's this, I would not let society to tell me, well, Toby, pack it in.
Yeah.
Toby, draw in the lines. Toby, the elephant should be grey. Nah, my elephant is pink with polka dots, man. Man got wings and everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still that child, and because of that, I do what I love. And I will never allow anyone to take that away from me. I do what I love, and I do it every single bloody day.
Yeah, that's cool. You talked a little bit earlier, and you've mentioned it a few times about culture and what it means to be a man in your culture.
Yeah.
But sort of just generally speaking, what do you think it does mean to be a man?
To be a man is very hard because society tells you to be tough. My wife sent me this poem, and it says, thank you for being the rock. Thank you for being strong. Thank you for being resilient. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for being there. Thank you for having the heart. Thank you for having the compassion. Thank you. So we as men are expected a hell of a lot. To be a man means you got to be everything. Literally everything's expected on you. And that's a very tough place to be at. Because you don't know when you're doing too much. And you don't know when you're overdoing it. Because if you say to be a man means to be strong, to be powerful, to know the rules and to live by them, yet then you could be too strict. Then you could be a man who's loving and caring and soft. But then you could be too much of that. Where is the balance? And one of the things I discovered for me as a man was to be the bit of both. My wife has been a great inspiration for me. She taught me a lot of things. As a man, I always seen everything from a practical side. It's something that naturally just came to me, and I was very practical on things. There's a square toy goes into the square box. There is a circle will not fit into the square. But my wife would say sometimes, yeah, but there's still space. She couldn't see what I seen. But what she taught me is to look outside the box. And that allowed me to become a better man, a better father, a better husband, to have more, people call it the feminine side. I call it the heart side, the love, because we all have it. We as men, we're taught to, from a very young age, chin up, don't cry about it. Grow some hair on your chest, get on with it. Shut up. Is your leg full enough? No? Get on with it. We were taught not to cry. We're taught not to share. We're taught not to talk. We were taught all these things, and yet now people say, oh, you're too tough. You're too manly, you're too masculine, you're too macho. Yet you taught me all these things. Yet society requires that from me. And I'm told not to be it. So for men today, we're lost. Because what do I have to be? 1 minute, I got to be this. Another minute, I got to be that. Where do I find the balance? And I think for me now, to understand the term, what does it mean to be a man? And it's a very old school term. It's called a gentleman. Now, gentleman, I broke it down to a gentle man. Be gentle, but be a man. Be kind, be loving, but be strong. Be smart, but be smart enough to know when you're wrong. It's all these things that we balance every single day. with my daughters, one of the most beautiful things I had to learn from my wife was this. My daughters are allowed to call me out. So my daughters were really little. And what happened was, so we're at the coffee table and one of the girls was running in and I'm like, she's going to hit this cup. The cup is going to go everywhere. You know, one of those situations, you can see it again because I'm practical. So as soon as she's running, I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And one of my daughters went, Daddy, why are you shouting? You shouldn't shout at a young girl. Go on a step.
She sent you on the step.
She sent me on a step. And I went, yo, I didn't actually think. I did raise my voice. There was no need for it. There's other things I could have done. Yet I panicked and overreacted of a very, very small situation. So I went on a step. I sat down there. And the coolest thing was, I said, Daddy, did you think about it? So I did. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have shouted. I shouldn't have panicked. That's what happened. I panicked. I thought you're going to spill this cup. It's going to go over here. Maybe it might hurt you. So I just got worried. I got scared. And I just overreacted in that moment in time. She goes, okay, Daddy, I'm glad you thought about it. So then we went back in the front room. And what made me think in that moment was this. The behaviors that we have, the behaviors that we've learned, but it's the behaviors that we have to design. You need now to design your behaviors. As a man, you have a responsibility now to yourself and to the people around you to design your behaviors, not blame the past learnings on your behaviors. So one of the principles I learned from my mother wasn't a great principle, but it was a good one. So my mother became a person as well that she became a really great teacher of everything what not to be. And I'll explain that in a bit. If you come to my house, you're having a cup of tea, you spilt the cup. I'll go, oh, don't worry, man, I'll clean that. No problem. Why? You're a guest, you're important. I'll clean that up. Now, if me and you are talking, my kid knocks it over. What you doing? Can't you see we're having a conversation? The difference in reaction to, well, you're a guest, you're more important than my own child. And I use that term with a lot of parents when I teach parents. I'll say, the respect, you've lost total respect from your child, yet you respected this guest.
I think we do that with people in general, don't we? Do you ever think that? When someone you know, you treat, say someone comes into your house and exactly the same. If, I don't know, like say you and your wife or you bicker a little bit or your thing, and then sometimes you do show more respect to someone that you don't even know really, maybe than your partner or your friend or someone close to you.
Yeah.
You do. I've never really thought of it.
So
like my
mother taught me the biggest lesson. Treat everyone the same.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And it's the hardest lesson. Because yet, when your kids are misbehaving, I got to treat them like I would speak to you with the utmost respect. So we've got to sit down and have an honest conversation. There's no shouting. I'm not bigger than you. I'm not smarter than you. I don't know more than you. So I'm your parent, do as you're told. No, I got to have an honest conversation because I want you to grow up and to be honest. I want you to grow up and I want you to have that respect for me. Because one of the things my mother did, I lost my respect for my mother because of the way she did things. So a lot of the things she would do, she was a hypocrite. She would tell me not to do it, yet she did it. And my mum had a very tough time. So all respect to my mother because of everything she did and everything she went through. This poor woman, she suffered in her life.
Sorry, did you say you fell out with her?
Yes, because she did a lot of things she told me not to, and she yet did them. And so for me, that was very difficult. So she taught me a lot of things what not to be as a parent. And then my mum had a problem with drink, so she was an alcoholic.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we had a very, very difficult time as growing up on top of that. So with my mother, I would say is this, thank you for everything she did. Because she wasn't the best mother, but she was a very good teacher. Because she taught me everything what not to be. So with my children, I learned to be more loving. I learned to be more caring. I learned to, like I don't drink around my kids. There's few things I don't do because of what I've learned and what I experienced. And for me was, when my children are old enough, I will take them out. I won't allow my family, friends, or anybody else to take them out. I will take my kids out when they're old enough because I will teach them how to drink. Because you let an 18-year-old out with their 18-year-old friends.
Oh, yeah.
None of them know nothing.
I know what I was like, an idiot.
None of them know nothing.
An idiot, yeah.
So we, in Street Factory, any of our dancers, anybody that came of age was allowed to, we taught them how it's done. You have a dance, you enjoy yourself, you have a great time. Once you feel that little feeling, you stop. You have water, have something to eat, dance it off, and then if you feel you want more, you can have more. But don't overdo it. There's limits. Learn your limits. Like, I have mine, you have yours. Learn them. You have to learn about yourself.
I think that's a culture thing in England, though, isn't it? To binge drink.
Yeah.
Binge drinking is huge, isn't it? And like, maybe coming from a different culture and a different background, it probably helps a lot of people, especially with
In my culture, everyone eats and drinks. It happens together. Where here, people say eating is cheating.
Eating is cheating.
So don't eat when we drink it, do you know what I mean? But for me, when I was brought up, never got drunk. To today, never got drunk. I'm always aware of what I'm doing, what I'm saying, and how I'm behaving. Because I seen what my mother done when she was out of control.
Yeah.
So for me, I never wanted to be in that situation. And especially as becoming a father, something that was really important to me, I wanted to be a good dad because I never had one.
Have you
My dad wasn't around. So from a very, very young age, my mom...
Is he still in Poland? Or
No. So when we came to England, I think a year or 2 years within being in England, we had a phone call that he's in hospital and he's going to die. My mom called me back in the house. I turned up in the house. She said, "Oh, it's your dad." Met the bloke twice, and probably for seconds, minutes, I've met the guy, and then we just moved on. So when he was passing away, I kind of didn't mean nothing because I didn't know the man. You know, people pass next to you 3 roads down the road, and you don't know the people, so it doesn't really
impact you.
It doesn't impact you. So for me, it was like, there's no difference. I'm going playing with my friends. So I went up freedom and carried on playing football and having a good time because we didn't have no connection. I didn't know you. So for me, someone I always wanted to become and someone I always needed. And I think many people ask me, why did I do the job I did? I needed a father. I needed a mother. I needed a friend. I needed a teacher. I needed a leader, an inspiration. I needed all these things. And because I somehow, and I don't know how, figured out a way to help myself, to heal myself. And I don't know how I did it, but I did. It allowed me now to become that for others. So I am your friend, your brother, your cousin, your mum, your dad, for so many. Whatever your need is, I fill that need and help you heal. So many people I work with, they needed a good friend. They needed a brother. They needed a mother. They needed a father. I've become that. And I only had that chance to do that because of my life work experience. It just taught me very, very big lessons in my life.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think there's so many positive messages in there. Yeah. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was about what's important as a father, sort of raising kids the right way, but I think you just answered it.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing for me as a father, what I've learned from my children is they'll teach you so much. Don't be ignorant. Do not believe that you know everything because you don't know nothing. And when you act like you don't know nothing, you become one of the greatest students in life and you become one of the greatest parents. Because when you believe that your children can teach you something, it is one of the most incredible things. My children taught me so much, so many incredible things. Like my son, 5 years old, went to his mother-in-law's house and they're just chatting. She's baking, they're doing stuff. And he goes to my mother-in-law and said, "Gran, it took me a very long time to come here." She said, "Did it? So where did you come from?" "You know, the other place." She went, "Okay, that was a bit weird conversation." So she thought, "Okay, where's this going?" He went, "I said, when I'm going to come here, I'm going to make all the baddies goodies. But I didn't realize it's going to take so long. I didn't realize it's so hard because all the goodies won't let the baddies be goodies. That's what's going to take me so long." I was like, wow. You taught me a huge lesson because when you believe you're good and you believe you're righteous, you won't allow him or her to change. So then you're stopping other people from changing because you believe you're more righteous than anybody else. It taught me a huge lesson of that, the world we live in, that the goodies won't let the baddies be good. But the baddies ain't baddies. They had circumstances, their situation. No one is born bad. They have circumstances.
And a lot of baddies don't realise they're baddies.
Yes.
A lot of pricks don't realise they're pricks. Do you know what I mean?
And it's all
that's
circumstantial.
the situation, it's, you know, you could have an argument with someone or a disagreement or anything with one person. They have that opinion of you that you're a knob. But then you're a nice guy, and you can have a completely different relationship and circumstance with so many other people.
Yes.
You know, you could be a great dad, a great, you know, partner, whatever it is. But then you could just not get on with someone. You could just be a prick to one person because you don't quite like the way they do something or the way they are. And I think that's...
And again, the biggest thing is the point of view. So the biggest things we teach, like within our Creating Change program and everything, I say, when you look at the cup, you only see one side of the cup. You don't know what's happening on the other side here. You don't know what's inside of the cup. And when you can see inside the cup, On the other side of the coin, 360 understanding, you can go, I get it why this guy was a bit uptight with me the other day. I triggered something from his childhood. I triggered from his life, and I behaved or moved in a manner that got him scared or got him frightened, and that's why he reacted to me.
And how many times do you have a conversation with someone like this for hour and a half and really get to know someone? Rarely.
Yeah, not often.
Rarely.
Not often. Yeah, it's funny. As we're talking at the various points, I'm kind of piecing a few bits together, and a lot of what we talked about is I guess accepting other views and being open-minded. And I think a lot of that comes down to a confidence.
Yes.
And I think we talked earlier about how some people just lack that confidence, but if they maybe find their way into, different clubs and socializing a little bit more, they can build that confidence.
And the other thing when it comes to confidence, it's okay not to know.
Yeah,
Society says you're a man, you should have this, you should have a house, you should have a wife, you should have kids, you should have a job. It's okay not to know. Yeah. And it's okay not to be ready.
I've been a nightmare for that though, over the years. Especially when I was younger, I used to put so much pressure on myself to have a good house, have a good car, earn lots of money, try and provide,
And guess the only reason you did it for?
I don't even know. I'll be honest with you.
I'll tell you, everybody else.
Yeah, probably.
You wanted to be seen like you've got it all together.
Yeah.
You wanted to seem like you know what's up. And one of the biggest things I've learned that in my life, nobody was looking. Nobody was interested because they were too busy sorting their own rubbish out.
Yeah.
And the thing is, society taught us like the biggest old school thing is keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
And that is where we're all still kept today. And I remember when I bought my car, we spent £10,000 on a car. It's a family car. It's a really, really cool car. So we had one before and we bought the same brand, but the more modern version. And one of my friends said to him, "Is that what you drive?" I went, "Yeah." He went, "Why?" I went,
"Cheers."
"Okay, it's huge, 7 seats, practical, everything spins, got all the TVs, music, literally everything in a car, heated seats, leather seats, cushion seats, they're all laid back into a bed, they all spin around, and all it is a Nissan Elgrand."
Right, okay.
And it looks dope because it looks really chunky, it looks really huge, it's got like a little bit of body kit on there. So to me, I was like, that looks cool. But everybody else's expectation was, well, Toby's going to buy something traditional, something flashy, something that we all can go, wow.
So not bright pink then now?
I am not interested in what everybody else thinks, no. So I'm not interested in what everybody else thinks. I buy and I have what I like for me. And again, that took me time to learn because when I started my job, I started doing really well. And again, my wife, incredible teacher. So we went to this party. I've got my friends, my brothers and everybody there. And then I got carried away and I'm talking to everybody. Yeah, I'm doing this, teaching in these schools, traveling, making money, making this, making a couple grand here, and throwing it in everyone else's face like I know what I'm doing. My wife called me up to the side. She said, "Babes, you're being really disrespectful." I went, "What? What, me? I'm just excited that I've got stuff. I've got money now. I'm doing well. I'm like really excited." She said, "Yes, you could be excited, but you don't have to hurt other people with your excitement." I said, "What do you mean by that?" She said, "You know when you said you should be like me, you said, all you can say is, I'm doing really well. Me and my family are very okay." I said, "That's a humble, great man who understands the value of what he has and what he has achieved. You want to be a flash Harry here, showing off to everybody else that you're better than everybody else. You'll be talking different tomorrow." I went, "Oh, I didn't realize I was hurting other people by the way I was showing off. And the best way to show off is to be myself. Show off for me. Don't show off for everybody else. I don't need you and you to tell me I'm doing great. I know I'm doing great. I want my kids to love me. We have a great family. We go and do things, go on trips. I take my kids on bike rides and I know I'm good. But why did I need your approval? Because society told me that I needed your approval. And that's when I've learned, actually, you know what? Be happy. But be happy here first. Don't be happy when your mate walks up. You're doing great. And that mattered more than my wife and my children and everything else.
Yeah, I think that's so true. I think if people take on that advice, they'll go a long way. Amazing. So tell us about future plans.
Future plans are huge. So if I get my phone out, on this phone here is £1 million check So I wrote myself a £1 million check. So don't know if you can zoom in. I know it's got probably the time on it, but it's a £1 million check. Why did I do a £1 million check? So many times when I spoke to my friends at the beginning, they said, you're a dreamer. You're never going to achieve nothing. Yes, I did. My mother even said to me, don't do dancing. Never going to give you nothing. Yet it did.
Yeah, I think we've both been there, haven't we?
Yeah.
Massively.
And imagine your own mother. You got to get something from somewhere. Yet everyone close to me told me to not do it. Told me to quit. Go get a real job. And yet I went against everybody because I knew in my heart and my body there was this thing that I am. I just am this thing. And no matter what you say, no matter how you bend me and twist me, I'm still this thing. So the only reason I've got this £1 million check is this. I know when I hit my £1 million, I'll never spend a pound again. Because what I've learned, when you become a millionaire, no one ever asks you for money. And isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You know when famous people walk into the barber shop, no one asks them to pay.
No, because they just want the exposure of them being there.
So you never spend a pound again. You go to a restaurant. Oh, no, that's on us. Please eat. Take a picture if you like to. Oh, we'll take it for you. You never spend a pound again. So I know when I have that £1 million, the difference I can make is going to be phenomenal. But not only phenomenal, imagine being able to blow up the old school blueprint of how you're going to achieve your life. The old school blueprint of you're not good enough. The old school blueprint of prove yourself, be a man, show us what you can do. I would love to blow that thing whole up and say, okay, these are the blueprints of the future. And the blueprints of the future is this. Work on yourself first. Before we get a job, before we get a house, before we get money, everything, be in love with yourself. Like look in the mirror and go, you know what? I am bloody handsome and I love me. Like my wife knows when I walk past a mirror or any reflection, I'm like, what's up, good looking? How we doing? And most people go, really? I said, yeah, I love me. Like I'm in love with myself first. Because one of the things I've learned is this, like I adore my wife. Trust me, I adore her. But she cannot make me happy. Because if I am not happy in me, you cannot make me happy. Don't know, have you ever met someone that lost someone really close to them? Could you make them happy in that moment in time?
No, never.
There's nothing you can do, nothing you can say that will fulfill them here. They need to find that happy again. They need to build that happy again in themselves. So I've learned in my life that I have to be happy first. When I'm happy first, it just empowers the relationship I have with my wife.
Have you created that happiness through freedom of what you've been doing though?
100%. The freedom with everything I do allows me to be me. So like I love dance. I dance. I love creativity. I love making new businesses. I'm very, very like, I've got ideas and ideas, I want to bring them to life. I've heard this YouTube thing once and it said, we came to you and now you lie here on your deathbed and we shall die with you. But we were your ideas. We were your hopes and dreams. And now we must die with you. I'm never going to be that guy. Never going to be that guy. I'm going to be the guy that when it's my time, I go, whew, I had a good time. You know what? I'm ready to go. I had a blast.
I always think of life in general as a bit of a game. And I think you've just got to take it a little, not too seriously. And just got to enjoy it because you overthink things and it just doesn't really matter.
And again, in our society,
everything moves on. Like,
and in our society,
no one
we
will
went
remember
taught.
us in 100 years.
Yes.
So why does it matter, really?
But the thing is, in our society, we went taught the circle of life. You're born, you'll go. That's normal and natural. So many other cultures and communities are so used to that. They know that's what happens.
Yeah.
So while you're here, you enjoy that here. And you do your best here. And you work your hardest here. And you just do whatever fulfills you here. Because you haven't got a long time here, if you think about it. You haven't got a long time. I'm 36, so hopefully if I live to 90, it'll be a bloody good blast. That's what I'm hoping to. So because I've met a guy who was 90. And
you want to be that
shook
guy.
his hand and I was like, give me a cuddle. I want to feel this. I want to feel that 90-year-old. I want to feel that experience. And I'm going to be 90. I'm going to hit that. And what this whole thing taught me is about living life now and enjoying now. Not worrying too much. And the thing is, I live in 24 hours. So my wife told me last night, you've got this podcast tomorrow, then you've got the choreography thing you're doing later, and that's you done for Saturday. Thank you. I live in 24 hours. I don't live by next week, next month, because too many people live ahead. and they forget what's happening now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Living in
advice.
the moment is really important.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Is there anything you want to close out with before we wrap up?
So one thing I'll say just before we finish is this, a little message to all of you is this. Being in the moment is one of the most important things, because what happens is this, and I'll tell you a little moment I had last week. Me and my son been working on his confidence for football. He wants to be a professional football player. So I said to him, you have to train like one, be like one, and act like one. So he said, okay, Dad. But sometimes when you go on a football pitch, he was a bit like, do I challenge that player? Do I hold back a bit? Because I want to be kind, I want to be nice, I want to be good. But can I do that in the match? And I said to him, yeah, when you're in a match, it's like a ring. You're a professional athlete. This is what you trained for. And you're trained for to take that ball and score. So do your job when you get in there. And it took us 2 months to get his confidence. And yesterday he said, Dad, I got my confidence. I said, son, you go out there and you do it. And he lives it. But imagine in that moment in time, I've got a text. And I went, and my son is telling me one of the most important things in his life right now. Put your phone away when you're with your family, when you're with your children, when you're with your friends. When you're in those special moments, you're never going to get them back. Time's one of the most precious things we have, so don't waste it. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.